What's going on, y'all? It's your boy DJ. Boy Deej, man, coming in. Today's Super Bowl Sunday, so hope y'all have a good Super Bowl Sunday today. I'm excited definitely for the game. I can't wait, to kick this off. Will Patrick Mahomes, will he be able to pull off the three-peat? Obviously, look, I think Brady's still the GOAT at the end of the day, but definitely Patrick Mahomes being able to be the first, really officially in NFL history to win 3 straight Super Bowls. And then, to really cap off that dynasty, really, for the Chiefs that they got building right now. And then Travis Kelce, obviously, expect him to retire. And then, obviously, Andy Reid, right, seeing what he's been able to do with the Chiefs. And that's really, his historic career, obviously, going back to when he was in Philadelphia. And speaking of Philadelphia, right, you got the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts. Can he, step up and play well? And, obviously, this is a rematch from a few seasons ago. Saquon Barkley, will this be obviously the move that can get Philly over the top? Saquon Barkley, right? They're gonna run, they're gonna run with him, to the end, right? To the end of this season. And then obviously that elite defense. Honestly, from a team perspective, they're more talented. I think from top to bottom, they're the more talented roster. They have a better overall roster. But definitely, the coaching staff, Patrick Mahomes is 8-0 in his career versus Vic Fangio defenses and Vic Fangio period. Andy Reid, you've got Andy Reid. You've got Steve Spagnuolo, the elite defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. But the Eagles, they've got the talent. They've from offense, from defense. Jalen Hurts is no scrub either. He may not be the better quarterback, but his dual threat ability, his ability to throw down the field, and obviously with the elite talent he has, he definitely takes advantage and makes plays. So, we'll see right now. But right now, that's not the topic of the video today. We're going to be doing our first mock draft. And obviously after the game, NFL offseason will be officially underway. Quick news, Deebo Samuel just requested a trade from the San Francisco 49ers, so the 49ers will look to move him. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he will miss about 2 to 3 weeks, according to Shams Charania, with a calf strain. Luka Doncic will make his debut tomorrow. Austin Reeves, what a game he had yesterday versus the Pacers, after LeBron even didn't play yesterday. So definitely got some big news. And Kellen Moore, more quick news, is expected to become the next head coach of the New Orleans Saints once the Super Bowl concludes. So congratulations to him. The Saints now have their new coach, and I think that fills all the head coaching vacancies. But let's kick this off. Bear with me because this might be a long video because this is a mock draft, so we're going through all teams, all players that'll be selected here. So let's get started. So number 1 overall, so we got the Tennessee Titans with the number 1 overall pick. This is interesting because the GM has made it clear that they want a generational talent at this pick if they do decide to stay at this pick. And then Bryce Callahan came out and say, right, obviously when you compare a lot of these quarterbacks, there's really basically what he said, there's no Joe Burrow in this draft. Like he was in that room and obviously he worked, and what led to him becoming a head coach, working with Joe Burrow, helping Joe Burrow, develop into the quarterback that he is. So obviously, right, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, they're definitely the top 2 quarterbacks in this draft, but they're not obviously the elite quarterbacks, obviously with Trevor Lawrence, the Peyton Mannings, even the elite class where there was Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, all those guys, Justin Herbert, and what have you. There's not really that, elite quarterback. That's not that true blue chip elite quarterback talent. But Shedeur, with obviously the need for quarterback being very heavy, especially, with also how limited it is, the Titans, I think too, they're going to go the bridge quarterback, or basically they're going to go after in free agency. Sam Darnold's a free agent. I do expect them to target him in free agency and offer him a contract, and I think he'll be their quarterback heading forward. And obviously too, Sam Darnold's coming off a great year, obviously disappointed in the playoffs, so he's got to be better, but they've certainly got some talent with Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, and Spears. The tight end is really solid too. They just drafted J.C. Latham. And then obviously now with this pick, I have them taking Abdul Carter, the edge rusher from Penn State. 61 tackles, 24 tackles for loss, 12 sacks, and dude was just absolutely a beast. And my ceiling for him, and they talk about generational talent, my closest 2 guys that have generational talent or are close to that are Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. With just the elite talent Travis Hunter is. But with this pick, a lot of people and a lot of the top analysts like Field Yates, what's his name, Matt Miller, and Mel Kiper, Daniel Jeremiah, they have Abdul Carter as their number one prospect on the board. So you take the number one player on the board, and that's Abdul Carter. And again, the similarities to Michael Parsons are no doubt there. Obviously, there is only one Michael Parsons. Michael Parsons is Michael Parsons, but Abdul Carter wears the same number, went to the same college, wears the same jersey, and is very dominant and is upcoming. And you add him in that defense with L'Jarius Sneed, if he can come back healthy, with Awuzie, with Harold Landry on the other side on the edge, with Jeffrey Simmons, that defense would be definitely something to be reckoned with in the AFC South. And obviously, I wouldn't like it because, I'm a Jaguar fan, so, having to deal with Abdul Carter every week would certainly not be, pleasing to watch. But Titans could definitely, too, trade back. I think that would probably be maybe the most necessary. A team like the Raiders, who are at the 6th pick, desperately need a quarterback. I could see them really going all out and trying to maybe trade up. And if that were to be the case, I think they would honestly, instead of taking Cam, they would take Shedeur Sanders, because Shedeur Sanders has a good relationship with Tom Brady. And obviously he spoke with, the owner, Mark Davis. But Abdul Carter goes number one. Number two, so some people have Travis Hunter going here. And I could see this happening too, where, the Browns, obviously, look, they need a quarterback really bad. And look, Deshaun Watson experiment, it just hasn't worked. They could go the route too, where they draft or sign Kirk Cousins in free agency. Kirk Cousins is expected to be released, and, he'll obviously be on a cheap contract, so they can afford to bring in Kirk Cousins on a cheap veteran minimum contract, because he'll still be getting paid from Atlanta. And then you take Travis Hunter, who can play, in my opinion, I think Travis Hunter projects more as a wide receiver. I think he's a at both as a corner and as a wide receiver, but I think it'll be in his best interest. And just from I think from the NFL level, I think he'll project better as a wide receiver and has the chance to become one of the top wide receivers in the game. I do not doubt that at all. And again, hey, he's Heisman winner. But with this pick here, I have the Titans again, or the Browns. Just with their need a quarterback, man, it's just too glaring. So I have them taking Cam Ward, the quarterback from Miami. Had a great season. For him to nearly declare last year and basically be from a 5th to 6th round pick, but then he goes to Miami and tears it up and has a Heisman season. 39 touchdowns, over 4,300 yards, 7 interceptions, completed 67% of his passes. Just the talent, the arm talent is there. He also makes plays with his legs. He's able to scramble and makes really good plays with his legs, has good athleticism. I think, too, he's QB1 in this draft, no doubt. And I think, too, seeing what Cleveland has, they've got Jerry Jeudy, who had a really good season last year. So you pair him with Jerry Jeudy. The Browns' offensive line isn't bad. They certainly have talent on that offensive line. Jedrick Wills can stay healthy. They got Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller, DeJuan Jones, if he can stay healthy and, play solid. And then they've got David Njoku when he's healthy, one of the best tight ends in the league and very athletic. So, and then, too, they've got pieces on defense. And then this is another interesting, right, with Myles Garrett recently requesting a trade. The Browns could even, too, they could potentially add more picks and get more picks from the Myles Garrett trade so they can build around him and get that roster right, especially, with Myles Garrett trade potentially incoming. So, but I think, again, just the glaring need at quarterback. Travis Hunter, yeah, it makes sense, but... And I get, he's probably the better prospect, but they got to get this. Now, this they don't turn down a quarterback. They've got to get one, and I think Cam Ward certainly would do well with Cleveland. Number 3 overall, same thing, the Giants. Shout out my boy, Telly. They're going to go quarterback here, Shedeur Sanders, quarterback from Colorado, the son of Deion. But, 2, just Shedeur Sanders, look, he's his own player, and Shedeur Sanders had a great season last year. His touchdowns went significantly up. His completion percentage was through the roof. He had a 74% completion percentage. His interceptions went up from 2 to 10, so he definitely was more aggressive. He took more chances. Definitely got him in trouble a little bit. But again, while he doesn't have elite arm talent, elite athleticism, he most certainly has really good IQ. His ball placement is really good. I like how Travis Hunter doesn't have the season he has on the receiving end without Shedeur Sanders, and his ability to put the ball. His deep accuracy, I think, is really good. Him in that that Daboll offense, if Brian Daboll is able to get a chance to work with Shedeur, so I think from a coaching perspective, Shador really would want to go here. And obviously, I think Shador, he's kind of flirted with going to the Giants. And it makes sense. And then, to your number one wide receiver would be Malik Neighbors. You've got Wan'Dale Robinson, a solid slot receiver. Their tight ends are solid. If Andrew Thomas can stay healthy, the offensive line, isn't horrible. They do need to. The Giants are going to have to do a better job getting that offensive line figured out. But there's some pieces on there. The coaching, you've got a number one wide receiver. You've got a solid tight end. Theo Johnson, the rookie from last year, I think played well, and you have a running game, something that really Shador really never consistently had was an elite running game. And then Tyrone Tracy is an up-and-coming back in the league, and he has the ability to run the football and catch the football. So that's another weapon you'll have out of the backfield that can take some pressure off of you and also give you a former receiver playing running back. That'll certainly help. So definitely there. And I think it makes a lot of sense for Shador Sanders to go to the New York Giants. Number 4 overall, obviously his best player available. If you're the Patriots, you don't pass this up. Travis Hunter falls right into your lap at number 4 overall. In my opinion, has a chance to go number 1. Certainly, I think his prospect probably 2 in this draft. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. Not going to have this debate about who should have won the Heisman. Look, in my opinion, Travis Hunter earned this award, but I'm not going to, don't want to make it a debate thing, what have you, because obviously, you got your Ashton Genty people out there. But look, Travis Hunter, the talent is certainly there. The elite athleticism, the elite hands, the ball skills, the run after catch ability on the offensive end, and then obviously with the athleticism he has, he just makes game-changing plays from a defense, and that's what you need too on defense. And obviously I think he's close to a generational talent. If he's not, he's definitely a special talent, no doubt about it. Obviously, over 1,200 yards receiving, 15 touchdowns, and then on defense, a forced fumble, 11 pass breakups, 4 interceptions. Just did it, was top 5 in receiving and DB categories, just all around. Won multiple awards, obviously including the best one, including the Heisman Trophy. In my opinion, you're definitely getting the best athlete in this draft, no doubt about it. If you're the Patriots, the fit would be interesting, but obviously it gives Drake May an elite wide receiving talent. And then obviously if you want to play him on defense, you now pair him with Christian Gonzalez, one of the top young and upcoming corners in this game. That would be a really an elite thing. And the Patriots, they've been known for their defense, obviously through the years with Brady and Belichick. So, it'll be interesting to see, right, what they'll be able to do and what have you. So Travis Hunter goes number 4 to the Patriots. Excuse me, needed a water break there. Number 5, my Jaguars, Jacksonville Jaguars. We select Tatoria McMillan, T-Mac from Arizona. Over 1,300 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns, over 26 receiving touchdowns in his career. He's 6'5", 212. So now you've got Brian Thomas Jr., and then you add another elite wide receiver and T-Mac on the other side. Look, Gabe Davis, he all right, but we need more Trevor Lawrence. We got to get Trevor Lawrence right. We got to get him playing at a top 10 level, man. So how do you do it? You give him two elite, big, tall wide receivers on the outside. That's what you got to do. Travis, we got to get this pick right, man. Offensive line, I wouldn't be mad at it too. Will Campbell on the board. I love Will Campbell. He's probably my second option I would take. I could see a scenario where Jacksonville, they've got multiple picks. They've got 5 picks from the first 3 rounds. They've got obviously this pick, they've got a second round pick, and they've got 3 thirds, and I think 2 fifths. I could see a situation where the Jaguars, they see Travis Hunter maybe falling a little bit. They can move up 1. They, trade with the Patriots, and they trade it for Travis. Man, that would be my dream scenario for the Jaguars. But we take T-Mac here. And again, man, just, you pair him with BTJ, you give Trevor Lawrence, finally, in my opinion, the best wide receiving talent he has had most certainly in his career. And he's heading into year 5. You've got Liam Cohen and that new coaching staff coming in. So Trevor, look, we need to get Trevor playing at an all-pro level. We definitely need to get him, playing at a top 10 QB level. And this certainly will help him get to that level when he has 2 big, tall wide receiving threats on the outside. Obviously, unfortunately, no trades here in this mock draft. So Mason Graham. So with the Raiders take same thing they did last year. They take best player available. Mason Graham, defensive tackle, and they do need more defensive tackle help. I also could see Max Crosby potentially being moved, and then where they use that to add more picks in this draft as well. So we could see an interesting football offseason, as well as seeing like Myles Garrett, Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, Max Crosby on the market potentially. And maybe, there's more guys that could be dealt that we maybe don't know about right now. But again, the Raiders, they similarly do the same thing. Pete Carroll just signed with this, just obviously became the Raiders head coach. Could he bring Russell Wilson back into the fold, and then he's their quarterback for next year? Obviously, they got to get their quarterback of the future, but they're gonna have to definitely make a move to trade up to get their quarterback, because again, they're not in position with this 6th pick to get one. So if they're not able to, you take best player available on the board, and Mason Graham, just a beast at the defensive tackle spot. 45 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, All-American. Just in my opinion, I see him being, in that, conversation for one of the top interior defensive tackles in the game, with like a Chris Jones. You see Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, and those boys balling out. Cam Hayward, and there's more guys that I can't even think about right now. There's so much more elite interior, like Dexter Lawrence. So you can see, a lot of, Mason Graham, I think, has the ceiling to be within that realm of those guys in that category. And he would definitely, the Raiders need as much talent as they can get from on offense and on defense. So you add Mason Graham, and it shores up your defensive line. And again, that it could be a pick 2 where you'll need that in case Max Crosby leaves. Number 7 overall, the New York Jets, they take Will Johnson, the corner. So back-to-back Michigan defenders from the Jets. They take Will Johnson, corner from Michigan. Only played 6 games, missed some time with a foot injury, but he's got 9 interceptions. He had 9 interceptions in his Michigan career. He returned 3 of those for touchdowns. So he has big playability. My comparison for him is the guy who just won Defensive Player of the Year. Similar in size, the number, and then obviously, just how they make plays on the football is Pat Surtain. I think he has an opportunity. I think the pro comp there would be Pat Surtain. Just so talented, really good defensive back. Obviously, he's got to do a better job tackling within space. Did miss some tackles, so he's got to get better there. But if he, obviously, if he heals well, if he's healed up well since the injury, and he's able to, produce at a combine, which is going to be important for him to really solidify his draft stock, I think it would be a really good pick for the Jets. And you pair him with Sauce Gardner on the other side. DJ Reed is a free agent. I expect him to leave and go elsewhere and get a good contract in free agency. So you get younger. You pair him, and then he won't even be, the top corner on his team. You add him with Sauce Gardner, and in that Aaron Glenn defense where they play a lot of man coverage and they're physical, I think he would fit very, very well with the New York Jets. And obviously they need a quarterback too, but obviously they're not in a position to draft one. So Aaron Glenn adds to his defense. They get Will Johnson. Excuse me again. Number 8 overall, the Panthers, they beef up the trenches on the defensive side. They need wide receiver talent for Bryce Young, but I have them taking edge rusher, my boy Mykel Williams from the University of Georgia. Had his best games versus Texas. He has elite traits, elite size, positional versatility, can play inside, can play on the edge. This is a guy, too, that Mel Kiper talked about potentially being a number 1 overall pick. But obviously, look, he's got a lot of developing to do. He's got to, obviously improve as a pass rusher and really just become more of a complete player. That's really how it's been, right, with Georgia, with their Georgia players, right? They've got elite talent, elite traits. Obviously, you just got to coach them up a bit. So, but the talent is certainly there. Started as a true freshman, played a key role, on our national championship team in 2022. He's a former 5-star recruit, top 10 recruit. Dude is just an absolute beast and a physical specimen. And again, he had his best games versus Texas, and he was tearing up one of the top tackle prospects, Kevin Banks, on the left side. So Mykel Williams, right? So obviously you need more consistent production, but they need to the Panthers, they got to get much better on defense. Their defense was really bad last year, and a key part of that was not being able to get after the quarterback consistently. So now you add Mykel Williams, a guy who can give you some more juice, will certainly make sense for them there. The New Orleans Saints, they take wide receiver Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver from Ohio State. Every time the Saints take a wide receiver from Ohio State, it clearly works out. Michael Thomas, you saw how that worked out. He was one of the best wide receivers in the game. Chris Olave, when Chris Olave is healthy and he hasn't obviously, unfortunately, had to deal with these concussion issues, Chris Olave has proven to be one of the top wide receivers in the game. Definitely a top 20 receiver as a talent, in my opinion. Just has to stay healthy. Emeka Buka, dealt with injury his junior season, decided to come back, and he had a major bounce back season, over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. That was with Jeremiah Smith going off and having the season he did as a true freshman. So Emeka Buka, he slots in. And then, too, in that Kellen Moore system where, seeing what Kellen Moore was able to do with CeeDee Lamb, Derek Carr will be the quarterback. So you have a solid quarterback in Derek Carr. And obviously, the coaching will do well. And then, obviously, he'll be beside, an Ohio State guy in Chris Olave. I think this pick makes a total sense. They need more wide receiver talent because the Saints last year, they were basically playing Marcus Valdes-Scantling, Dante Pettis, Kelvin Austin. Like, they were playing a bunch of, practice squad and players off the street. So they got to add more receiver talent. They need a wide receiver really bad. Hopefully, again, Chris Olave, he's able to stay healthy and he, comes back healthy and improves next year. Most certainly there. 10th overall, the Chicago Bears. This pick makes the most sense. The most sense, in my opinion. Ashton Jeanty, the running back from the University of Boise State, from Boise State University. Man, look, in a different year, if Travis Hunter doesn't do what he does on both sides of the ball, Ashton Jeanty is winning this award. And again, I know there's Ashton Jeanty people. I know there's the Travis Hunter people. Again, we're not going to go there with the Heisman debate and what have you. But look, the man was absolutely special last year. Over 2,600 yards rushing, 29 rushing touchdowns, over 30 touchdowns from scrimmage. Dude was just a beast. His low center of gravity, his ability to not go down on first contact, his yards after contact. He had over 1,000 yards after contact. And even in that Penn State game where they shut him down and, it prevented him from breaking Barry's rushing record, which, too, is very impressive for him to come that close. He was very close to doing it. He still rushed for over 100 yards. Granted, it was only 3 yards a carry, but it was the fact that he wasn't going down first contact. It took 2-3 guys to bring him down. His low center of gravity, again, is certainly there. He also he did have a fumbling issue. He fumbled the ball a couple times, so he is going to have to, clean that up a bit. But other than that, Jeanty, right, in that Ben Johnson system, and now you pair him with Caleb Williams and DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, that elite talent that they already have, and now you add a true RB1 to that system. Oh my gosh. Seeing what Ben Johnson was able to do with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, you pair the best running back prospect in this draft and a Heisman candidate with Ben Johnson. Man, that would be crazy. Again, y'all bear with me. It's a long video, but if y'all still here, I appreciate y'all for bearing with me here. Will Campbell, my boy, man, I love this dude. I wouldn't be mad if Jacksonville took him at 5. He slides to number 11, and this would be a steal for the 49ers. They take him at number 11 overall. Again, doesn't have the elite arm length, but he's certainly stout in pass protection. He's gotten better each and every year as a run blocker. Played at LSU, and just was really good just as an all freshman, and started as a true freshman for LSU, and really has developed over time. And I think too, he'll potentially play guard. But certainly, again, this could be a pick for the future where once Trent Williams retires, because he's getting up there in age, I think he'll be 38 years old. So Trent Williams is getting up there in age. They need to get the tackle of the future. And Will Campbell makes a lot of sense to draft him at number 11 overall. He would certainly do well. I think he won the Doak Campbell for the best offensive lineman in the... If that wasn't him, it was Kevin Banks. I'm not sure which one it was, but I think Will Campbell won it. So, but again, the talent is certainly there. And I think he can play tackle even with the elite arm length, seeing what Rashawn Slater's been able to do and obviously turn into an all-pro tackle. So that's my comparison for him is Rashawn Slater. Really good tackle, Will Campbell, and he goes to the San Francisco 49ers. This would be a really good pick for the Dallas Cowboys. Luther Burton, a third, very talented wide receiver from Missouri. Former 5-star recruit, and especially over the last 2 years, was one of the best wide receivers in the country, and really was the top offensive threat for Missouri. Again, just his ability to make big plays, his run after the catch ability. He's got really good, solid hands. I think he'll project more. He'll play a lot better in the slot, but he certainly can play on the outside. You pair him with CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott coming back healthy. Dallas does badly need a running back. They badly got to get a running back. So I wouldn't be shocked to maybe in the second round they finally get a running back. It was certainly with all the running back talent that's in this draft. This is a deep running back class too, with the Ohio State running backs, Henderson, Judkins, the guy from North Carolina. They and the guy from Iowa, Johnson. They need to get a running back, but they take Luther Burton here. And again, just his fit with Dallas, I think, is a really good fit. I think he's got good comparisons to Debo and also Terry McLaurin. There's some similarities I throw out there for him. Most certainly there. Tyler and Luther Burton to the Dallas Cowboys. 13th overall, the Miami Dolphins, they got to get bigger, better up front. Teron Armstead, still one of the best tackles in the game, but he's injury prone. He's getting old up there in age. They need to get more. They need to add more beef up front. Kelvin Banks Jr., the offensive lineman from Texas, dude was one of the best tackles in the game last year. He's definitely got the size, 6'5", over 220, 230. Did struggle versus Georgia, so that is a glaring concern there. Had a lot of trouble with those Georgia athleticism, and also has some balance issues, and that's really bad too. That's not good for an offensive lineman. As good as you can be, having balance issues, he's gonna have to clean that up, because if he's gonna have balance issues, that's gonna be something he's got to clean up before he gets into the league, because you can't be constantly being on your behind and on the ground. So he's got to work on his balance, but certainly the talent is there. Elite. He's one of the best tackle prospects in this draft. Could be the first tackle off the board. Wouldn't be surprised there. So the talent certainly is there. He played through an injury as well. So I think a fully healthy Kelvin Banks, and then you pair him in Miami. They need to get tougher and bigger up front and protect Tua Tagovailoa a lot better. This pick makes a lot of sense. Tyler Warren, biggest need for the Colts. They need a tight end, and you pair him in Indianapolis. They just need some more receiving talent, and Tyler Warren did it all for the Penn State Nittany Lions last year. It's a big reason why they were a playoff team and just made constantly big plays. He doesn't have, obviously breakaway speed, elite athleticism, but he just makes big plays. Dude did it all from literally the tight end position, as a wide receiver, as a running back, lining up in the backfield, as a fullback, as an H-back. He did it all the last 2 seasons in Penn State. So you add him, you pair him with Anthony Richardson. He needs some more help, and look, they're banking on Anthony Richardson having a good year 3, because if Anthony Richardson does not have a good year 3, then they're going to have to look at potentially getting another quarterback. So, but the Colts, they add some more talent there. Tyler Warren, best tight end prospect in this draft. 15th overall, this one's probably a shocker, but the Falcons, they take their edge rusher, but they take Jack Sawyer, the edge rusher from Ohio State. Jack Sawyer, he's got elite size. He's like 6'4", 6'5", 260. Atlanta, I think it's time to stop taking speed rushers. They need to take a true edge rusher, like a true edge rusher. Like a lot of these other guys, to me, they're more like speed rushers, and they're more obviously like designated more type of pass. And there's no disrespect to the guys in this draft again, but it's like a true they need a true like defensive line edge rusher, and Jack Sawyer has the similar size of one of those, the Bosa brothers. And again, Sawyer, 23 career sacks, 7 pass breakups, and he makes plays, gets his hands on the football. Played a key role, obviously, on Ohio State's defense being so great last year. He made big plays, too, with the fumble, the strip sack and the fumble on his old teammate Quinn Ewers. And, it's definitely got really good athleticism, really good size. And you put him on the edge. And, again, Atlanta, they've got to do a better job. It's not just the sacks. They need guys who can generate pressure and affect the quarterback better. Atlanta's been one of the worst teams over the last 6 years, 7 years at rushing the quarterback. They've got to get that true edge rusher, and in my opinion, they get that in Jack Sawyer. With the 16th pick, the Arizona Cardinals, they take one of my other boys, and also the Butkus Award winner, Jalen Walker, the linebacker from Georgia. breakout season last year for Georgia, 6.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Again, had his best games, obviously, versus Texas. But through the whole season, Jalen Walker was just absolutely a really big threat off the edge, and really proved too he can play off the ball, he can play on the ball, and rush as a pass rusher. And I think if you develop him, I think as an edge rusher, he will certainly could become one of the top edge rushers in the game if he fully develops there. So his positional versatility, his size, his quickness off the ball, his quickness on the ball, off the ball, being able to generate pressure and be able to get in the backfield. And again, played very well versus Texas, and really was one of our more consistent defenders on our defense. Our defense was solid, but wasn't great. So Jalen Walker was a consistent guy who showed up each and every game. And this is to a Cardinals type of pick. They take guys, they like taking guys with versatility. So, and they need more talent on defense. So, and Jonathan Gannon, I think their coach would certainly do well with Jalen Walker, certainly on that defense. So Arizona, they take my boy Jalen Walker. I'm going to try to roll through this, y'all, because the video is getting a little long, so I don't want to keep y'all rolling too long. So I'll kind of, keep going through these picks and just do some quick analysis. The Bengals, 17th overall, they take Walter Nolan, defensive tackle from Ole Miss, former 5-star recruit from a number 2 overall recruit. They need more talent, and especially at the defensive tackle. That's, in my opinion, their biggest need. They're gonna obviously need to entertain the wide receiver position with T. Higgins potentially out the door, but they need more talent up front, and Walter Nolan would certainly give them that as a run defender and as a pass rusher. 18, the Seahawks, they take Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama. They need more. They got to shore up that offensive line, specifically in the interior for Geno Smith. That offensive line wasn't great last year, and especially in the interior, so they got to get better up front. James Pierce, this was a guy that potentially could have been, was being tossed as a top 5 pick. Didn't have his best of a season last year, but still has a really good talent. Had 7.5 sacks last year, and multiple tackles for loss. And in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they need edge rusher help really bad. Yaya Darby is their returning edge rusher, but Joe Tryon and Anthony Nelson are both free agents. Their corner is a big need for them as well, but they need to get an edge rusher because they've got 2 of their top guys as free agents. 20, the Broncos, they take Jihad Campbell, the inside linebacker from Alabama. Broncos, they could maybe potentially use some more receiving talent for Bo Nix, but I think too, biggest thing, especially in the playoffs, they struggled up front, in the front 7. So Jihad Campbell as a blitzer and as a pass rusher, and too pretty well in coverage. So they take him from Alabama. 21, the Steelers, they take Matthew Golden, the wide receiver from Texas, a wide receiver prospect on the rise. He played very well, especially in the college football playoff for Texas, became the top target for Quinn Ewers, he made game-changing plays, especially versus Arizona State, got better and better, literally as down the stretch. Got hurt in their last game versus Ohio State, but still, Matthew Golden is a wide receiver prospect on the rise, former transfer from Texas Tech, I think, or Houston, and he's developed and really progressed with the Texas Longhorns. 22, this pick makes a ton of sense. Colston Loveland, the tight end from Michigan. Jim Harbaugh gets his former tight end. They need to add more, obviously, receiving talent for Justin Herbert. You saw that really down the stretch. They've got the offensive line, they've got the running game, but they've got to add now more receiving talent for Justin Herbert, because down the stretch, that really plagued them last year, specifically versus the Texans. I know Justin Herbert had a horrible game, but the wide receiver talent, they've got to add more talent, and they need a tight end too. So Colston Loveland, this makes a ton of sense, reuniting him with Jim Harbaugh. Jahad Barron, the Jim Thorpe Award winner, is the best DB in college football, goes to the Packers. Eric Stokes is a free agent. As good as Jair Alexander, one of the top corners, in my opinion, in the game, he's constantly dealing with injuries. They need more talent in the back end. So Jahad Barron, this pick makes a ton of sense. 24, Benjamin Morris in the corner from Notre Dame. He goes to the Minnesota Vikings. Stephon Gilmore is a free agent. Byron Murphy is a free agent. They need, obviously, that's one of their biggest needs. Running back will probably be a need if they lose Aaron Jones. But Benjamin Morrison, this is a guy who got hurt last year, but when he was healthy, he's one of the top corners in college football. Really good in coverage, really good as a run defender as well. Makes plays, has the ball skills to make plays. they need Minnesota. Though obviously, they're probably going to lose one of those guys specifically. I think they'll bring back Byron Murphy, but Stephon Gilmore will be gone probably, and he's getting older, so they need to get younger and better at the corner position. So what do? They get Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame. 25, the Texans. Offensive line. Anything before the wide receiver. I know that Tank Dell's going to be hurt. Stephon Diggs is a free agent, but they need offensive lines. The big reason why C.J. Stroud took a step back last season was that offensive line was bad. Other than Laramie Tunsil, bad. They need more offensive line talent. Armand Membo, tackle from Missouri. He can play tackle. He can play guard. I think he'll play guard in the NFL. 6'4", over 330 pounds. So again, he has the positional versatility to play both inside and outside. From Missouri, it gives them 2 first-round picks. Get C.J. Stroud some offensive line help immediately. And I hate to say that because he's obviously in our division, but they need help on the offensive line. This would be a steal for the LA Rams. Tackle's a big need of theirs. Josh Simmons, he slides. This is a guy that could, in my opinion, go top 15. Would probably be the first tackle off the board if it wasn't for an ACL injury that cut his season short. But this shores up the offensive line for the Rams. The Rams, too, right, their offensive line kind of down the stretch struggled, especially versus a team like Philly. But this will be a steal, in my opinion, getting Josh Simmons. Coming back from injury, he's progressing well and is expected to be ready through training camp. So all signs are pointing in the right direction for him to go well, for him to play heading into the 2025 season. So they add that player in Josh Simmons out of Ohio State, the LA Rams. This is a player on the rise, Shamar Stewart. Limited sack production, limited production overall, but he played very well and produced very well in the Senior Bowl, something that obviously it gives players like him the opportunity to compete and really improve their draft stock. Shamar Stewart was probably the most talked about guy in the Senior Bowl. Played very well, did one-on-one on work, really played well in the Senior Bowl. He did very well, and also too with the combine, if he produces well in that, you could definitely say his draft stock even improve more. I have him going to the Baltimore Ravens. I think they add more talent. Kyle Van Noy, he's been obviously their consistent edge rusher, but he is, I think, a free agent and is getting up there in age. It just gives them some more depth off the edge and something that they could look to add more beef up front. Mike Green, I see him potentially going sooner, but he goes to the Lions. The Lions, they need more edge rushing help, obviously opposite Aiden Hutchinson. I know they do have Zadarius Smith. I think he's back next year, but I'm not sure. I think he's a free agent this year, so he could leave in free agency. He could be back. But Mike Green, he's also another player on the rise. Produced very well. Not limited production. He actually had produced very good numbers for Marshall, but obviously played in a lower conference, lower competition. But he played very well and did very well in the Senior Bowl, did very good on the one-on-ones, showed his ability to rush as a pass rusher, former wide receiver too. So Mike Green, getting the Detroit Lions getting him, that would be a steal potentially for them, and you pair him with Aiden Hutchinson. My boy Malachi Starks to the Washington Commanders. They need more talent, especially in the secondary. Mike Sanders still. They've got Marshawn Lattimore. Jeremy Chin is a free agent. So you add Malachi Starks in the back end. Really talented safety. Really good in size. Has the ability to play the nickel position as well. And I know they've got the Jaquan Martin, I think his name is too. Really good safety. Made some plays in the playoffs as well. But Malachi Starks, his athleticism, elite traits. And this dude... And you saw it too, like if you watch Georgia games and just watch college football specifically, Malachi Starks is a certified elite athlete and just made some of the greatest interceptions I've honestly ever seen in my life. Just this dude being able to go over the top and make the interceptions. The one versus, as a true freshman, he did versus Bo Nix versus Oregon. And then the one he had last season versus Clemson went over the top. The insane interceptions, the elite ball tracking skills. Limited, didn't produce as much last year. Obviously was asked to do more from the nickel spot, played more in the box as a run defender. But Malachi Starks, one of the top prospects in this draft. This would be a steal for the Washington Commanders as well. Let me slide my camera over a bit because I got to see these other picks right here. I'm trying to get this done. Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle, another defensive tackle, played very well for Michigan. Another Michigan defender off the board to the Bills. They need to shore up their defensive front. Edge rusher could potentially be another need. I could see them going that there. Von Miller is a free agent. But defensive line shores up the defensive line. They need to get better at stopping the run. They've got Ed Oliver, so this will be well, but they've got to obviously add more talent in the interior, do a better job stopping the run, specifically in the playoffs. That was a big thing, big reason why the Bills' defense gave up a lot of yards and gave up a lot of big plays and runs, their inability to stop the run. So they need to do that there. Tyleik Williams, defensive lineman from Ohio State. Again, another national champion, another Ohio State. You can see a lot of Ohio State. We could see as many as probably 5 Ohio State players, specifically defenders, off the board here to the Eagles. Milton Williams is a free agent. He could be one of the top free agents on the market, could get a big deal elsewhere. So and then Brandon Graham is also, I expect him to retire after this game, whether they win the Super Bowl or not. I do expect this to be his last game in the NFL. He is expected to play after missing the last half of the season with a triceps injury. But again, they need some more defensive linemen up front. You go get a national champion and a top defender in Tyleik Williams, goes well. And then with the last pick, the Kansas City Chiefs, they take Josh Connerly Jr., left tackle from Oregon. Did a great job helping protecting that not the blind side. Dylan Gabriel's left-handed, but did a good job on the offensive line. What do the Chiefs need? They need a left tackle. They've got to get that left tackle position shored up. You've got Joe Tooney as a guard playing out of position, so they need to be better up front. And 6'4", 313 pounds, former 5-star recruit, really good traits, good athleticism, and again played a key role in leading Oregon to being a top team in college football. Just obviously had a disappointing loss versus Ohio State, but played very well. Has some good film on tape. All right, y'all. Long video. I apologize for a lot of the explanations, but had to get those quick news out, and this is my first mock draft. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Y'all stay safe and have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Peace out.